Have you ever felt like you were holding on so tightly that you are starting to lose yourself? Welcome back to Art to Heart podcast, and today is 30th episode of our ongoing series where every Sunday I come here, do a visualization of our topic, and I want to share the art of life through the lens of creativity, growth, and emotion. I'm Brenna, and today we are diving into a topic that feels so personal yet so universal: the art of detachment. As someone who is very much easy to get attached to people once they show a little bit of affection or care, it's not just me, it's all of us when we feel secured, supported, accepted. Love, another, comes very little part of life. The moment you feel secured, supported, and accepted, you start feeling attached to anything for that matter, whether it is a city, a person, a country, or hobby, or anything in that scenario. But when we hear the word detachment, many of us think of being cold, distant, or disconnected. But that's not what we are talking about today. Detachment in its healthiest form is freedom. It's emotional clarity. It's the ability to love, to care, to create without clinging. Because here is the truth: we often confuse attachment with connection, like I said in the beginning of this, but attachment is fear based. It says, I need this to feel okay. The moment you feel attached because you're valued, accepted, and supported, right? And you don't want to let go of that version because that version in the first place is what make you accepted or made you accepted. So you have this lingering fear around you. What if I don't want to be this type anymore? Will I no longer be accepted? So that attachment is a fear based. It says, I need this to feel okay. Connection says, I want to share this with you, but I am still whole without it. That's the entire purpose of today's podcast. So let's get into it. It's going to be very interesting. So I want you to hear this thoroughly and share your thoughts on this. So, why is detachment so hard, especially for sensitive people? I don't think it has to be termed as sensitive people. Every human being has some form of a feelings and emotions attached to certain things. Whether you're losing your job, which I've worked so hard for over a decade of period, like I come across all this LinkedIn post of Microsoft laying off like left and right. These people have been in the organization for more than a decade, and they have contributed so much. And when I read posts like this, right, where they have been laid off, my first thought would be, how are they going to wake up tomorrow? Because you're so used to checking your email the first thing in the morning, thinking of the work which we have to do tomorrow, or some idea which sparkle for the solution you're looking for. So when I read this type of post, my first thought is like, how are they going to take their day ahead, or how are they going to charge their next part of the life ahead? Because something we really care deeply and we invest and we tie our identity to outcomes, whether it may be our relationship, careers, art, or recognition, right? When things don't go the way we hoped, we spiral. So the example of people getting laid off, and how do they go ahead in this scenario? Are they well prepared, or they are someone who are very good with detachment? That's when the idea of detachment come into my life, right? I am very much attached when sometimes I invest myself, whether it may be people, whether it may be my work, whether it may be my YouTube. I'm over obsessed for something very easily. For example, recently I am very much into learning AI, understanding what's happening, but I'm not obsessed with AI yet. But I easily get detached to it. But for example, if you believe there is someone who you always look up to, but they suddenly were not part to how you want them to be, too easily to understand, you trusted them so much, but they ended up not taking up your side, despite you not going to prove you're right or wrong, but they just not reacted the way you want. Of course, you are gonna be going in a very spiral down in a way. For me, it may be in a very different way to handle in such scenarios. We ask, what did I do wrong? Why isn't it working? Or worse, what's wrong with me? Right? So here is the shift. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. It means you trust that not everything needs to be forced into a place. I recently was speaking to my mom and I said, I am not attached to a lot of things. It does not mean I don't care. It's just that those things are not going to affect my way of the life I want to be. If you are not going to respond to how I want to respond, that's okay. It's your opinion, it's the way you are. And I'm not going to get hurt and get checked for whatever the reason I am, why my heart is aching so much in all this scenario. So something I recently admired and also remember listening to one of a very small clip of A.R. Rahman where he talks about the detachment, the string you should have with your work and not take it to your head. At the end, you prefer solitudeness over any remarkable achievement you have done. Let's bring this down to earth. Here is how detachment shows up in different areas. In relationship, instead of constantly checking your phone to see if they replied, detachment says, I trust what's meant for me won't miss me. In your creative journey, instead of refreshing your post waves every hour, detachment says, I created this from the heart, that was the win. In your healing journey, instead of trying to fast track your growth, detachment says, it's okay if it takes time. I don't need to be fixed, I just need to be here. Some of the true meaning of what detachment actually is, we offer swap around with instant gratification. We offer see ourselves putting too much of trust or acceptance or whatever we want from other person. We often put ourselves too much into something we dearly love, but at the same time the feeling is not mutual from the other end. In all this scenario, for me, one of the best line is, I trust what's meant for me won't miss me. And I want you all to write it down. So I will say it again. I trust what's meant for me won't miss me. It will always be back to you the way you want it. But at the same time, you don't have to be hyper focused or hyperactive into those scenarios. You just have to let it go after a certain period of time. That doesn't mean you forget. That doesn't mean you don't care anymore. That doesn't mean you don't need anymore. It's just you need to trust the process. All right, let's get to the how part. Here are five grounded practical strategies I have used and still using to practice healthy detachment. Number one, shift from what if to even if. Instead of what if they leave, try even if they leave, I still be okay. That one tiny mental shift changes. Imagine you're working on this project for the longest and then you did all the thing you do, and instead of saying what if they leave, what if this is not going to work out, try saying even if this is not going to work out, I'd still be okay because I have learned a lot through investing myself in certain project. Number two, practice the pause. Before reacting to a text, a trigger, or a temptation, pause. Detach from the urge to control or fix. Give it space. Give yourself space. A practical example, I would say, in today's world is a constant ad around us, right? Somebody is trying to sell us something which is not even required, but the constant appearance in our feed make us want to buy. For example, I have been searching for a standing desk for the longest, and then this brand constantly pop-ups in my feed, and I want to have the standing desk, but I don't want to spend that much. So all I did was to put this certain brand, right, whichever is marketing in my feed, went ahead and click add to cart and just let it sit. I'm not doing hyper buying here. I'm not buying on spot, or I'm not being spontaneous here, but rather I practice a moment of pause. And then I took every single day 10 minutes to research in the market to what better product will I get for my price range. And eventually I ended up getting another standing desk which serves the same purpose. At the same time, I'm happy because I know how much hour I'm going to spend per day on this, and this is going to be effective for me rather than pulse buying or at the same time spontaneous on the go buying. So you need to learn the art of pause. Number three, come back to your body. When you're spiraling in attachment, you're not in the present, you are in your head. So breathe, stretch, walk, move. Your body is your anchor. Number four, set micro boundaries. One of my favorite things to do. Detachment is built on boundaries. Start small, like silence your notification. Step away from draining conversation. Absolutely, you should do that. Say not right now without guilt. Please start saying not right now, or I don't want to do this. Or if you don't want to hurt the other person feeling, just say I'm committed to certain other task which I may not be committed to you for certain other task. You're not abandoning anyone, you're honoring you. It's not about being selfish here, it's about being selfless to yourself, because you have been doing a lot to other. Now it's time you take it back and put yourself in those situations and take what's best for you. Number five, create without clinging. Whether it's your art, a message, or a dream, give it your art and then let it go. Let the world respond how it will. Your job was to show up with truth. That's enough. Something you all have to do, and I'm also learning to do in this process. You show up every single time, whether that is your art or your message or your dream, right? Message may be saying someone, no, this is not what I want to do, right? Art may be whatever I'm currently doing, I'm posting every single week because I know there are few set of people who will always come back, listen to, give the positive feedback, take something, leave something, which is going to be good in both ways, and I'm happy to do that. So let the world respond how it will be, and you all have to do is show up with truth. If you take nothing else from today, let it be this. You don't need to stop loving. You don't need to stop caring. You just need to stop abandoning yourself in the process. Detachment is a love letter to your peace, and the more you practice it, the more you realize you don't have to hold it all together. You just have to hold space for yourself. That's it for today's episode of Heart to Art. If this book or something is tender in you, maybe take 10 minutes today and ask yourself, what am I gripping and what would it feel like to release just 10% of it? And hey, if you know someone who is stuck in this anxious, holding on to tight place, send this their way. This might be the moment of breath just as much as it did. I'm Brenna, and I'll see you in the next episode where we keep turning emotion into art. Till then, have a great life. Enjoy yourself. Don't let in the wimp of what it is all about. Detachment is not being emotionless, it's being emotion to you, and also setting up boundaries and also taking care of the best of yourself. So, till next time, learn, grow, evolve, and share something you have done in your detachment process to me. And see you all next week. Till then, enjoy your life. Take care.